Let's go.
Hundreds are missing in the seas of South Korea. It's a ferry boat with teens on it.
There's a desperate rescue effort to help these people.
It wasn't long after they got the rescue call that this thing was underwater.
I'm just shocked by it.
Better believe it, Bill. Let's go. This is HLN Now. I'm Mike Galanos, and we start with tragedy off the coast of South Korea. And again, Annette laid it out there for us all. We're talking about a ferry boat heading basically to a vacation spot, carrying mostly high school students, and it sinks. Here's more to the story.
We had no idea what was happening. We thought everything was going to be okay, and then this happened.
There is still a desperate search going on right now after a ferry ship filled with hundreds of students sank near South Korea.
This has really now become the staging point for the desperate parents who are waiting for any news about what has happened. Now we're hearing some commotion behind us, and basically this is because these parents are absolutely devastated.
I was keeping still without making any movements. There was an announcement that we should not move.
There was an announcement telling us to sit still on the ferry, but the ferry was already sinking. Some of the students were not able to escape. The ferry started to lift, so we asked if we should escape now, but the announcement kept telling us to stay still. I'm so worried about the other students in our rooms.
The majority of the passengers on this ship were high school students. They were on their way to Jeju Island, just south of South Korea, about 100 kilometers south. It's a tourist area. They were on a 4-day field trip.
So again, it's disaster in the Yellow Sea after a ferry headed for a South Korean resort sinks. And you can see the pictures, just astonishing there. Here's what we know now as far as numbers. Over 450 on board. Well, from what we gather, about roughly 325 high school students, 6 dead. That's what we have here. Over 160 rescued, also over 290 still missing. So that's the sad fact that's going on. I've seen some pictures of parents of these high schoolers just distraught, as you can expect, and they're more astonishing pictures. Joining us now, Justin Lorio is a research engineer with the Stevens Institute of Technology, and here's the specialty, specializing in ship hydrodynamics, basically the structure of ships, and how something like this could happen. And that's my first question to you. How could something like this happen?
Well, what the eyewitnesses are saying is that they heard a loud bang, and then the ship began to list very quickly. Now, what the loud bang can point to could possibly be a grounding where the ship impacts the bottom, if there's some kind of seamount or something that comes up. Or it could possibly be something going on in the engine room, possibly something going wrong. It's really hard to say. However, once water penetrates the ship, if it's an asymmetric penetration, meaning that water's coming in only from one side, what that can possibly lead to is that initial listing that they talked about where it's leaning over to one side very quickly. Now, with these types of ships, they have what's called a car deck. The car deck is generally open the entire width of the ship. So if this section gets flooded, what can happen is the water starts to slosh very quickly, and it causes a really significant leaning to one side.
Yeah. And from what we gather, this sank really quick. Let's listen. You mentioned, let's backtrack just a touch there, Justin, concerning this loud thud or crash. Our colleague, Paula Hancock from CNN, has a little bit more on that, and then we'll get your take coming out.
This is what we're hearing in particular from one eyewitness who was a student on board. He was talking to YTN here in South Korea on the telephone and saying he basically heard a loud bumping or crashing sound. He said then people started to fall over because of that. He said that's when some people were injured, and then the ship started listing and sinking. And as we know, it really has happened very quickly. Just an hour or 2 hours after the distress call happened, we know that the Coast Guard confirmed people were ordered to jump into the water. Now, they all had life jackets on, according to the Coast Guard, but they were all ordered to jump into the water because this ship was listing so badly and it was sinking so quickly. Now, we have no official confirmation as to whether or not this ship hit something, but the fact that we're hearing through local media from eyewitnesses saying that they felt a bumping sound, a crashing sound, and everyone fell over when that happened would suggest that it may have hit something in the water.
There you go. When a ship begins or a boat begins to list like that, is there anything that can be done?
Well, at that point, a lot of times it relies on the design of the ship. How are the watertight compartments set up? And then also it depends on your bilge system. Can you pump out the water fast enough so that it goes faster than the incoming water?
Wow. Hey,
yes.
real quick, Justin, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but you know, a lot of folks, when they think of this, you think this day and age, you know, we're seeing this, the Costa Concordia, just a couple of years ago. We had that incident where 32 people died. I know it's early to compare, but do you compare? Do you start looking for similarities in cases like this?
As compared to the Costa Concordia?
Yeah.
Well, the Costa Concordia is a much larger ship and a cruise ship. I'm not sure at the year in which these were built. A lot of times what you need to look at is the years at when these ships are built, because practices have gotten much better over time.
Got it. Hey, and obviously, it seems all ship disasters are compared to the Titanic. We know the Titanic, April 15th, 1912, sank in the Atlantic, where 1,500 died there. Is that still the standard bearer when you, I mean, that's our point of reference. You're the expert. Is it yours as well?
That was obviously one of the largest tragedies in history with the amount of people lost. It's still one of the largest in terms of how many people died.
Got it. Hey, Justin, thanks again. As you know, we're waiting for answers. We're hoping and praying for the best for those that are still unaccounted for. And Justin, we appreciate your expertise on all of this. Hey, next story coming up.